I mean, I would think that underneath the addiction, or even maybe synonymous with the addiction, is like deeper mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can kind of think about, I don't know, I find it helpful to maybe think about this as not just a recovery from addiction, but as a recovery from, mental health struggles, which I think underlie it. And honestly, the approach to both of those things is often the same. It starts with a healthy daily routine. It starts with healthy habits. It starts with getting some of that nervous energy or that anxious energy out. Like sitting in the basement all day is just not good. Your mind's going to eat itself up.
Yeah.
Getting out, moving your body, even going on like an hour-long walk every day, right? It just you're moving your body. You're getting excess energy out. You're going to sleep better that night. You're going to be outside, so you're getting vitamin D. Your body is getting into a healthier habit. Something is not even like I need to go to the gym and I need to work out, but just like I just need to move my body and go on long walks every day. That could be.
Yeah.
I genuinely find long walks to be really helpful for mental health. Even when I'm in a really bad mood or having like a little mini crisis of emotional state, just like when all else fails, like literally just going on a walk, and after 20 minutes of walking, those feelings starts to subside.
Yeah. Just the movement and the sensory sort of
Absolutely.
Stimulation.
Definitely. And there's something about the kind of monotony of walking. The body kind of cradles itself into a sort of contentedness.
Right, and you still have to be doing something. Like you can't fully space out because you actually have to do the physical movement.
Navigating the world sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. I mean, yeah, I fucking hope nothing more than that. I mean, this is a new year. I know it's an arbitrary, date on the calendar, but there's a sense in which you can try to give it another go, have a fresh start, and just do your best. But the big challenge is when the urges come.
Yeah.
And trying to have a plan, I guess, whatever works for you, on how do I deal with when the urges come. I can't, I'm nice that I feel this feeling. I hope this feeling lasts. But if and when the urges do come, do I have like a go-to method of trying to deal in the healthiest way possible with those urges?
Yeah. And like I had one like earlier this morning that it came about, and I kind of just meditated on it. Mm-hmm. Like I kind of sat there and I was like, let's see if we can like watch it unravel in my mind. And then I talked with somebody, just like a text message thing, one of the friends and stuff like that, and I'm excited to see some of them at the meetings I was going to,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at. That's the most I can really say.
Yeah. We talk about staying with uncomfortable feelings, and that craving is an uncomfortable feeling.
Oh yeah.
And so like that can become the object of meditation. Like here's the craving. I know the craving's coming back. I know I'll have the craving. Can I shift my relationship with the craving? Can I accept the craving? Can I observe the craving without acting on it? Right? Can I be with the craving and the discomfort that it gives rise to, the manic urge to go and fulfill that craving, but don't act on it? Can I just be with that unfulfilled craving and kind of just like let it run its course within me without having to be propelled into action?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it just, what the most it just feels like is a sort of readiness for change. They talk about like stages of change and the idea of like pre-contemplation and contemplation and like where you're at, action and stuff like that. And they're all kind of relative to what you're doing, but there's, what people don't understand is that you could be at this contemplation where it's not like wondering if you're an alcoholic or an addict or not, but it's just wondering if you're like really ready to stop. That's I think one of the hardest places like people find themselves in. Probably the one that brings the most shame is that they're just not ready to stop, and they're just like, oh, I can't tell anybody this because what does it mean? Actively agreeing to something that's just going to make my and their lives harder. Like, but that's just the way they're at. It's like, you try to find anything that can shake them from that. And I always hold out hope that there's better ways. There's certainly not, just having to rely on pain or shit misery or monotony or something to like erode you to a more teachable state, so to speak. But I don't know, and it wasn't just quite that. I would say it's just kind of like how I how I thought about things, or just let things kind of pass over me. Like, rather not think about things, not try to conceptualize this in some way, but just to like feel it and just, like I said, it could be like some sort of self-manufactured placebo effect, but I just needed the ability to do that. I don't know, I can't say, but I feel like I'll keep more like active on top of this, and it's just like the sense of gratefulness that I feel how I feel like just right now.
Absolutely. And there's definitely a victory in that. And yeah, like the not thinking about it, I think like that's good. Like just to go with the feeling and not the thinking, because the thinking is always deceptive. The thinking is often very useless. You've thought about these things a million times. You've overthought them. It is a form of ruminating, right? Which is a compulsion. Like, if to constantly be up in your thoughts about, okay, here's this feeling. Okay, now I'm feeling this feeling, but what if I do? What if I do give into it? Well, this time I'm really not. Just don't give into it this time. That's up in the conceptual realm of thinking, and then that is a form of ruminating, which, like I said, in OCD, that is a compulsion in and of itself. So you're making the OCD worse just by the thinking process of thinking and tossing it over and over and over. And the other approach is to drop down into feeling. Just be like, what does craving feel like? I don't need to think about it,
Yeah.
Just what does this feeling feel like? What are its negatives? Where is it located in my body? How bad is it really? I think that's always a really helpful thing is with any negative emotional state is like, how bad is this really? Is this really so unbearable? The thinking makes it feel unbearable, but the feeling itself, like, it's just a feeling. It really is not that bad.
Right, because it has that way that, like, things become scarier in the shadows where it's not quite defined and tangible to where you can't, like, just look at it. Like, it's not like a thing where you can look at for instance, like a weight that has like the number of pounds on it. And like, oh, I have to lift a bunch of those. Like, even if it's like there's a bunch of weight that you have to move from, like, let's just say like, oh, I have to move a weight room. That sucks. Like, I have to pick up, but I'll pick up this piece and I guess I'll pick up that piece and we can do it little by little. But like, there's something you can like put your arms around and look at it. But if instead you just had these heavy looking boxes and there's stuff on it and you don't really even know what's in them. And then it's just like, they look like weirdly shaped, and you could just be like, oh, you could start to just play out, and then you just go by feel, and you're like, man, that feels like, it's in that way where it's just like, sometimes like 25 pounds, if it says 25 pounds on it, it feels lighter than something that actually is 25 pounds, because you're just like, ugh, it just feels unruly, and, that was a terrible analogy, but it's that, I don't know, that sense that you're not getting any second opinions on the stuff. It goes like, yeah, this is all awful, right? Oh yeah, totally awful, and like nothing's interrupting that. It was like, maybe it's not that bad. I was like, no, tell me I gotta shut the fuck up. This is awful, and like that sense of self-pity is such a sneaky little device in your brain, because you think of like self-pity as this like wallowing thing, and it can take the form of that for sure, but it can also take different forms, where it can take this intellectualized version of this form, which is like, you know what, this is just the way things are, man. You're just you have a broken brain, and I don't know, sort of like, what are you gonna do about it? Just like give in to the apathy, and like you're not being maybe that emotionally distraught about it, but you're still doing the same thing, or you're just like succumbing to the like, this sucks, so I might as well like wrongly embrace the suck in the the negative way.
You're basically weaving a story in your head. You're creating a narrative that kind of allows you to give in to the thing.
Yeah, it's a self-defeating sort of basically environment you've created for yourself. Where it's just like, this is a hopeless cause, and so why give energy to fight it when you can just sit back and comfortably take it in your mind. And it's still totally fireable, but
that's the difference between identifying with the thought instead of just observing it. Like, there's that thought about just giving in and fuck it, and there when you're identified with that stream, with that narrative, then you can be convinced by it. But when you can create some space and stand back and like, oh, here's my mind doing the narrative thing. I see that my mind is now weaving a narrative that is trying to say that it's okay for me to let go of the reins, and give in to the craving or whatever. And in order to do that, you have to have some distance from the thoughts to watch them, and then notice your own patterns, learn your own behaviors. Like, I had a shitty day today. I got bad sleep last night. In the morning, I wasn't able to do my routine. So now I'm in a worse mental place than I otherwise would be. And here's how that manifests. It starts manifesting as this narrative about how, it's all shit anyways. I might as well just give in. I'm seeing how these patterns are linked. I'm seeing how my actions last night, what I ate last night, what little sleep I got last night is now impacting the thoughts that are going through my head 10 hours later, And once you start seeing that full domino stream of cause and effect, that is, as you're seeing it, that is also you stepping back and looking at it, and getting some distance from it and seeing, this is how the pattern plays out. This is how that happens. This is what happens when I abandon my routine. This is what happens when I get bad sleep. This is a temporary thing, Let me feel the feelings. Let me just observe with curiosity how my mind creates a narrative without getting sucked into it as if it's true. But again, these are skills that are they're not one-offs. These are skills that you hone and practice over, honestly, years and probably a full lifetime.
Oh, yeah. And it's, you can have maybe minor setbacks, but you can't, when it comes to addiction and stuff like that, you can't allow the full sort of setback because it just takes you back to that, because I know what I've at least am sort of harvesting right now in my mind, it can all be taken away if I give in once. It'll just completely reset it. That's the amazing thing, is that my mind's able to reset in bad ways, but not able to reset in the way I want it to, like a factory data reset for a phone or something. Just clear it out. It's able to take you back to a bad state, but the good one you just kind of have to foster and be there.
You also have 15 plus years of certain behavioral patterns that are sort of grooved in. So it's much easier for you to fall back into those patterns because, the addiction, the cycle, the compulsive use, the cravings, the running from bad feelings. Because that's what you've honestly, over 15 years, have trained.
20 years.
What? 20 years, yeah, have trained your mind to do. And so we have to understand that there's a long path on the other side where the only way out is to start creating new neural pathways, new habits of being, new rituals that you engage in, new patterns of thought and behavior. And you have to understand also that's going to take a long time. I don't think it's not going to take 20 years, right?
No, that's a good thing.
It's really a good thing. But, it'll take several months to get through the acute phase. And then, probably several years to completely solidify and ossify as a new way of being.
Right. It's like the gravel roads where even from far away it looks like gravel, but then you can see where it's been driven on. Like when you can see the little indents where there actually is kind of tire marks, and then
grooves.
You have to just go, no, fresh, pointy, jagged gravel you have to start driving on.
Yeah.
And it's just no, but then I can kind of sink into that one. It's
exactly. It's very easy to slip back in.
Yeah.
But that's the task, and being clear-eyed about that task is really important. And, not depending. Ultimately, you're going to have to go without the safety net of, the feeling.
Right. No, but I was just saying, it feels like
it's still great, yeah.
The driving it, the gravel analogy, it feels like I have a willing driver now, though.
Yeah.
Before, I just didn't have a willing driver.
Totally. I think it is an important shift, for sure.
And again, it's all, it could be lip service type stuff, but I feel it, and I feel it in the sense of, okay, but this is something we can work with. Where like I've had a bunch of stuff that technically I could work with, like the supports and stuff like I've built, and the ones that are just around me, just in tow and stuff like that. But it just, if you're not ready to do it, then
Yeah.